It's cold.
It is chilly.
What's up, man?
Hi.
How are you doing? Okay, great episode last week.
Thank you. Where were you?
Effing off.
Sniffing a dude's thong.
Oh. I wasn't doing that.
I was waiting to use that one.
I stopped.
You stopped doing that a while
I
ago.
stopped doing that in my 20s after I got, when I was a diver, kind of everything goes.
I get it, dude. I get it. Sometimes you got to just hit that old crack pipe every once in a while.
See what, whatever,
Yeah.
Make, you got lemons, make lemonade.
A little bit of that butt floss. I get it, dude. I get it.
Yeah. All you got to say in what we said is when we were divers, you said, as long as you say hoo-yah afterwards, it's all cool.
Respect. I respect it. You ever jump into another man's warmth, his wetsuit, after he's been using it?
That can be dangerous. Some folks like to, in the wetsuit,
right,
kind of like to urinate.
Urinate.
Well, they don't defecate in it typically because that gets squishy. But you can tell when they peel their wetsuit off and they're cleaning it. You're like, yeah, you smell like urine.
You ever jump in one of those?
Nope. Yeah, most of not during dive school, but when I was actually a diver, we had a custom made.
Oh,
yeah, wetsuits.
That's the most bougie thing I've ever heard.
Well, when you're a working diver,
yeah, it's
really nice to have something that fits well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So anyway, great episode. I enjoyed it. The guard passing stuff. So it's good.
It was pretty cool. We're gonna
the match breakdown too was really good. I like that.
What we'll do is, because that guard passing question was interesting, I think it'd be cool to hear your 2 cents on that.
Oh, sure. You let me know if we want to go into that now or later.
Yeah, we'll see how far we get with a few of these questions.
Sounds good.
First question, actually straight from the YouTubes from Easton, is it's a follow-up. He says, when you mentioned that you shouldn't drink any caffeine after lunch, when should someone working a graveyard shift drink caffeine? I try to only drink one if I do, and space it 5 to 6 hours before I go to bed.
Yeah. It's the same idea. Whatever your lunch is. Yeah. So I'm sorry you're working the graveyard shift. Some people, you just have to, that's just the lot some people have at some points in their life. If you get an opportunity to get off of that, please do. That shift work is horrible for you. So anything I would tell you is just kind of it's a Band-Aid at best, man. But just treat it like your work day, like you just shift your time. So when would you eat your lunch?
Is that 5 to 6 hours? Probably want even more than that.
More than that, man. Yeah.
Before bed.
Yeah, because I do mine before noon, and of course I'm old, so I go to bed at like 9 o'clock. So, so that's good 9 hours.
Yeah.
I'm really sensitive to caffeine. I hear some people say, "Oh, I do just fine and go to sleep." I'm like, yeah, I'd like to see how well you sleep, honestly.
Right.
With this, and some people honestly, break down caffeine and get rid of it fairly quickly too. So there's a lot of individual variation, but in general, whatever your lunch is, try to do it before then. If it's 5 or 6 hours, I don't know. See how you're doing with it.
I want to just at least try pushing it and see if that sleep gets a little bit better.
Honestly, I would, if you're working graveyard, I would do it at the very beginning of your shift.
Yeah.
And then after a couple hours, just stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It sucks, man, because you're already dealing with a circadian disruption. He's probably tired to begin with.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So, we have a question from someone in our academy.
Uh-oh.
They, I believe, know that they will be moving in the future.
I know who this is.
In the next year. Not immediately, but in the next year, I believe.
Yeah. He's a stinky fellow Navy guy.
He did sign off with 40 plus Latino.
Did he?
That's his call sign.
That doesn't surprise me.
40 plus Latino.
Yeah.
He says, my question is, what should one look for when looking for a new academy? Cascade has set a standard for me with the head instructor, like Andrew, Bill, and he looks like didn't mention you.
What a piece of crap.
I'm just joking. He did.
Did he?
And Chris, we have a great vibe here, and I know I'm going to have a hard time finding that. What should I stay away? What should I stay away, look for, etc.?
Wow.
A comment.
So, yeah, man, this is tough.
Idiot.
What?
Sorry. I was telling him there should have been a comma in there and called him an idiot.
Oh, comma. Yeah, I see. You're picking on his grammar.
Yeah, I grammar policed him.
Great.
People that know me know I have the best grammar. Excuse you.
Yeah, I was trying to find a way to make some kind
To
of
make that noise, but in a sentence.
a better one. Yeah, well, I couldn't. She summed it up right there. So, man, training at our academy, that's a tall order. I would,
if you were going to move.
Well, it'd be tough, man, because you're always going, when you have such a good environment, you're always going to be comparing. But the bottom line is, you want to go somewhere that has more of a family-like atmosphere, in my mind, knowing him and knowing what he likes about our academy. People looking out for the lower belts, willing to take time, the black belts take time to work with people and really want to look at what the head instructor is doing. You can, after a couple weeks, you can kind of tell that vibe, and that usually sets the vibe of the academy. Are they kind of, there's nothing wrong with being hardcore and wanting to, push the envelope and train hard and all that, but there needs to be, first of all, if we it's 40 plus especially, we want longevity in the sport, okay? And I know the person who's asking the question, I don't think he's looking at becoming a professional master's jiu-jitsu guy. He just loves the martial art. Mm-hmm. So and you'll know soon after a couple weeks, and do you feel like these people can become like, really close friends in a family type of atmosphere? We're all very supportive. Look at how many women are at the academy. That's honestly a really good litmus test, I think. Mm-hmm. That just shows that people that are usually and generally smaller and less physically strong feel safe being there. Otherwise, if you see a bunch of, I'm trying to say this diplomatically.
Why?
I don't know. You see a bunch of these kind of, just very, I'm not saying radical. I'm losing my adjectives here. Dudes that are just looking to just kind of smash at all costs, right? And are they everyone starting from the feet in a super crowded academy? These little things that and he is far along enough in his journey that he knows enough to be like, I don't think so. Mm-hmm. But really, it's going to be, are they welcoming? Does it feel like a place that's safe enough to encourage the longevity in this martial art? And what's the vibe with the black belts? Are they, really looking to really help, or are they just kind of, being dismissive of the lower belts? I mean, I don't know. It's a hard one when you're coming from an academy like ours. The bar is very high. Do you have any thoughts off the top of your head that you would?
Sure. Yeah. Because at some point we will relocate to Arizona, and we just did a trip down there to visit family. And I trained at 3 different gyms with the idea of I just want to know every time we go down there, I'm going to train in a different place. So I can at least get an idea of whenever that time does come that we relocate, that I have an idea of places that I know that I don't want to go and I want to give another shot,
I do. Yeah.
So I'm not saying I'm in the same mode,
but you're auditioning gyms basically.
A little bit. And a couple things that I look for is that now this is very woo-wooey. I get it. I put my essential oils on in the car. Just spritz through it.
You smell like patchouli.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I feel the energy. So I literally, if I feel...
It's a vibe you're talking
Yes.
about. Yeah, totally.
I feel like a lot of the time you will get just a bad vibe, like just a weird negative energy, like whether it's because people are sizing you up, they're looking at you like chopped liver.
Yeah, but you look a little squirrely though.
What does that mean?
I mean, it's not a very test case. You know, if you walk into someone's gym, you know, I'd look at you sideways too. Is all I'm saying. I'm joking.
I get that.
Go ahead.
And I get that's going to be that is part of it though, because like when I dropped into one of the gyms, I had my short booty shorts on. You know, I got my
I like how you said, of course.
Well, if I'm in warm weather, these thighs are breathing, buddy.
Yeah.
They are breathing.
Yeah, I know.
Hamstrings.
Yeah.
Quads.
Yeah. I know the anatomy.
So, and I had a tank top. So
I says that very quickly. And I had a midriff.
Yeah. I had a little bit of the old belly showing.
Oh, God. Okay.
I had to show a couple riblets. And then the pipes were out.
Yeah.
So, after training at one of the gyms.
And you're talking about vibes. Come on, dude. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Keep interrupting.
Bringing it. No bad days. Good karma.
I like it.
All knowledge.
Yep.
So,
Oh,
yeah.
look at you
Twinsies.
guys.
Yeah.
So, after I trained at one of the gyms, one of the guys was like, well, when you walked in, I was like, okay, this guy, he's in good shape. He looks like, you know, he's probably going to want to roll real hard, right? So you can yourself put off a little bit of that vibe unintentionally or intentionally.
Right.
Right. So when I go to a gym, I try to be like, I honestly almost act like a total noob white belt because I don't want it to be this thing where I put off a vibe where I'm walking in. What's up, bro? What did you want to do? You know, I don't want people to think I'm coming in there to like dojo storm. I'm trying to be as respectful as possible.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I think if you do that, like you intentionally go in with super respectful, super nice, all that, and you get the negative energy back, like that's like a red flag immediately.
Yeah.
Not that like I've stolen this from Lionel down in Texas. The light vibes, heavy jiu-jitsu. I think that is a way to live right there. Light vibes, friendly, good times. If you ever watch Andrew and I roll hard, we're joking the whole time, but we're trying to rip each other's face off. You can have light vibes and heavy jiu-jitsu. Now, it's when you take the light vibes out and it's only just smash to try to prove a point. It's like these people will treat you as the competition, right?
Yep.
Straight from the get-go. When, trust me, if a visitor comes in, I want to roll hard with them. If I'm visiting someplace, I'm going to roll hard. If they are, you know, it's not one of those things where I'm going to go in just blitzing, you know. But I think there is a big thing on the initial walk-in and changing and bowing in and all that kind of stuff. If you're feeling like sharks are swarming around you, you know. I had one gym where it did kind of feel like that. And when I went down there, and I was like, this is kind of odd. But a couple of the black belts came up to me and like introduced themselves and stuff like that. So that kind of helped tone it down a little bit. But I think part of that was they didn't know I was a black belt because I had my belt in my gi.
Right.
And then I was just stretching in like my rash guard. So in that moment, I'm getting like, it felt like I was kind of getting like mean mugged a little bit. Like, oh, I'm going to beat this old man's ass, you know, type of thing. So I think off the initial pull, that's going to be one. Two, I do like the female thing.
Yeah.
I think that is actually pretty good. Does the instructor roll? I think that's important.
Oh, that's a great point.
And that might be something where you have to do it, like, notice you have to go in a couple times because if you happen to land on a day that, you know, maybe they're healing something. Like I didn't roll today in day class because my knee doesn't feel too great, so I gave it a day off. So if you happen to come in, I wouldn't have really rolled, you know. So you might have to give it a couple test sessions. That's just one thing, like one little side mark that I would consider.
Okay.
I also like, personally, if the instructor is not a giant. It's super common. I don't know what it is. I feel like the more I notice on Instagram, the more it seems like every black belt on Instagram is a giant.
Yeah.
They're just huge. I don't know if it's because it took them so long to get their black belt, and then they open up a school, and then they just like gain 50 pounds. I don't know what it is. But for the most part, when I see photos of people on Instagram, the black belts are just monsters. And that's fine. But I would want to learn jiu-jitsu from a smaller person, personally. I think technique has to be sharper, more accessible techniques. Now, if you're a giant, maybe learning from another giant would be actually really good for you.
Well, our friend in question's not a giant.
No. Well, no.
I know where you're going.
So I would look at all their social media, see what the vibe is there. I would also try to, and what I mean by look at their social media is like, do they all have to wear the same gi or something like that? Like, I personally, that's just not my bag. Like the whole GB thing or white gis only, and so, like,
Feels culty.
I think it can start going, like when you start adding up red flags, you can start having okay, maybe that's one of my personal red flags. And then only like 2 females in the whole gym. That's maybe another potential red flag.
Yep.
I got a little bit of a weird vibe. That's a third red flag. Now that, things start adding up. So yeah, taking note of that. Also, I think it's actually good when, and I got this from Keenan Cornelius, I think it's good when there's more than one instructor, as in if there's one guy that teaches every single class, the morning, the midday, the night. I think that what can happen is there can be this unintentionally, maybe, unfortunately, sometimes intentionally, is there can be the king of the castle kind of vibe where the owner is like the head honcho, and there's almost like a what's the word, like praising or looking at them like they are like a god,
like that's the culty thing.
Yeah,
where they're like sycophants.
Yes, I think that can happen. That can happen when someone is running every single thing.
It's the cult of personality.
Right.
Yeah.
And especially in a scenario where just naturally our sport has kind of like an intimate feel to it, and like we become very close very quickly. And people can look up to others naturally as like mentors. And so like this is kind of a natural thing that happens within our sport. And nothing wrong with that. It's a good thing, right? Especially for people that need something like that. But what can easily happen if that person is not strong, I relate this to like being a pastor, right? Is pastors, that role can be very good for people or communities and stuff like that. Someone that has a high moral standard and yada, yada, yada. Give advice, and whether it's on jiu-jitsu or maybe some life stuff, right? That totally, it can happen. Well, just like there's pastors that fall into very bad things, this can happen in a coach mentor relationship where,
well, there's definite examples of this that we could name,
right? And some people say this is like super prevalent in jiu-jitsu. I don't know if it's as prevalent as some people out there try to say that like it's a huge issue. And I think if you look at baseball, wrestling, football, jiu-jitsu, like any sport that has a head coach kind of thing, this happens. I don't think it's any more prevalent in jiu-jitsu than it is in others. At the same time, some people also on the other side say, who did I just hear? I just heard someone talking about, Majid Hage. I mentioned it in the podcast that a podcast he was on. that he was like, man, in jiu-jitsu, you can't be a dickhead and like make it to black belt. Like it weeds you out. That's not true. You can absolutely, yeah, you can absolutely have morally corrupt, bad character people at black belt, narcissists, and owning gyms and running gyms.
Yeah.
And, you know, even on the pro level, we have plenty of examples in the last couple of years of this sort of thing.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
So I don't agree with that either. That like if you make it to black belt, you're like you can't be a bully or something like that.
I would say in general, our community has a bunch of cool people.
For sure, I would say the average is higher than a lot of other activities.
Yeah, agreed.
So I do pay attention to that. If there's one instructor for everything, and it's like, and how that vibe is, how people talk about them, like, and
like with reverence.
Yes,
yeah, that kind of thing.
That starts to get a little. If I start hearing the word loyalty or like, it just you start thinking like we watch Sister Wives. Have you ever seen that? It's the guy that has like 4 wives.
I'm a dude. No, I don't watch that.
Well, I do.
I know.
I make him.
Well,
That's true. So, but if any of my other Sister Wife people out there are listening, that he's having a falling out. They've been together from 18 all the way up to like 10 years.
and there's how many?
There's 4 wives and 1 guy.
That's a problem.
I cannot imagine that. Well, 3 of them are basically gone now. He's lost those 3 of them.
Yeah.
And he first he was just with these 3, and then 10 years ago a 4th came in.
Yeah.
And now those first 3 are all gone.
Yeah.
Right. And what he talks about, part of it was through COVID. He's talking about this one wife would just talk about being loyal. She's loyal to me.
Oh God.
Because he was very strict COVID rule guy. Like
Voldemort.
Oh gosh.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I think we'll be fine.
I'm not worried about it.
And he had a lot of rules for all because they got like 40 kids. So for any of the kids to come over to the house, they had to they couldn't see anybody else for 2 weeks. You had a bunch of crazy rules.
I would guess that he's probably controlling in other ways too.
Oh yeah. And if anyone's watched the show for
and I haven't even watched it. Yeah.
You're like, you see this dude. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So anyways, he talks about this one gal because she follows the rules. She's loyal. Because she follows his COVID rules, she's loyal.
So
and none of the others are.
Compliance, right?
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
That kind of speech, big red flag.
Oh, huge.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, why do you make your students go down into child's pose before every class while you stand up and walk around?
That has nothing to do with loyalty. That has to do with pleasure.
I'm sorry, what?
Okay. I'm sorry I asked that question. I don't even want to expound upon that. Let's stop right there.
I have no idea. What
To be honest.
Do you know what child's pose is?
Yes, I think so. It's where you're like really low. It's almost like a butterfly stretch, but your knee or your feet are in towards your butt, and then your like heads to the mat, and your arms are up like that. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like you're prostrating yourself. Yeah, prostrating, not prostrating, prostrating yourself.
Prostrating.
That, I guess, from what you're saying, maybe.
To be honest, when I said the pleasure thing,
Yeah.
I knew it was the wrong thing to say, but I couldn't stop.
What did you want to say?
I don't know. My mind just said something, and I knew that was not the right thing.
Well, the visuals it kind of conjures up are super disturbing.
You're welcome.
Okay.
So those are a couple things I would.
No, I agree.
Yeah, and I would say it's a big thing is going to be feel. To me, they have to roll after. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of gyms that will not roll after the hour 10 class.
Really?
Yeah, they might do. They might do 1-2 rounds, maybe.
See, I'm spoiled.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you landed for never training anywhere else. You landed in a really good spot.
Dude, no kidding. Yeah.
And like, for example, for people listening, Cascade, we rolled basically till people are done.
At least an hour after class.
It's at least an hour.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's like until people are really done. And
well, so we're trying to you know, clean the mats, and they're
usually we're BS and
talking crap.
So it's an hour and a half after like all rounds.
I want to kind of jump on what you're saying, because I think those are great points. But, you know, having that after, you know, we hang around and just talk crap. And it's more than just a place to go train jiu-jitsu for me. That's where I see my friends, man.
Yeah.
And that's where my social connection happens, which is so important for our health. And I haven't had, you know, and this guy that's asking this question is also in the military. So he understands this. I haven't had this level of like camaraderie since I left the military.
I've heard that comparison before.
And it's true. I would say even higher level here. You know, I'm talking about military, like on deployment where you're just like, So, man, and for him especially, that's a huge thing, because I know, because that's part of our culture in the military.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. And you're totally right. That those after sitting on the wall, BSing, or talking about a technique or whatever that,
or
like,
bad movies.
Yes. That's kind of where that fellowshipping comes in.
That
becomes super, where you get the benefit of the community side.
Man. It's
so
huge.
I would have, like, they gotta have that after class time, in my opinion. And then also, I take note of how they do warm-ups and stuff. You know, we're very spoiled as well to have someone like yourself to help with warm-ups. And, like, go ahead.
I can't take credit for it, because I introduced some of the concepts, but Andrew is always looking to better things. That's his leadership that says, yes, let's implement this stuff. Because I could have gone somewhere else and they'd be like, no, I've done this for years. This is what we're doing.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. And so it's because of that kind of leadership. And so go ahead.
And so, like, just basic line warm-ups. I'm not saying this is a deal breaker also, but I don't, if they do old school warm-ups where they try to blow your lungs out before class. We've talked about this before when it comes to skill acquisition.
It makes no sense.
It's counterintuitive.
Yeah.
And
if you wanted to do that, you would do it after skill acquisition if you wanted to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And if there's a 30-minute warm-up that is just trying to, like, it destroy you physically and get your cardio workout there, once again, no. Yeah. That's just not what I know me, and I know
I'd go join CrossFit, dude.
Yeah, right.
No, I mean, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, yeah. And so those are a few things that I end up looking for. I personally, like, I plan to continue competing fairly regularly. So I want to know that they have people that are competition focused. Not that the whole gym is, because that brings a certain vibe in itself. But I hope that there's a balance. Shout out to this Aries gym in Arizona. What? It wasn't East Mesa.
I think it was just Aries, Arizona.
It was just like Aries, Arizona with Paul Nava. The vibe there was sick. There's a guy named Ramsey there that he's like won the Phoenix Open and he's competed really well.
So they balanced it well.
Yeah, but then the vibe was like super chill. Like I
love
can't
it.
remember the gal's name, black belt that was teaching the class, but it felt kind of like our gym.
Nice,
where there was joking, there was music.
Nice,
and then was able to get hard rounds after.
That's perfect. Yeah, dude. I mean,
yeah.
Or as hard as you want.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was, you know, I could tell they had a black belt wrestler. He was down to get after it. So I was, the Ramsey guy was down, like, you know, it was really nice.
Nice.
So like they're on my list of like, I will be going back. And then Paul, actually, the owner, he wasn't even there, but he messaged me after, heard I came in, introduced himself. Like,
that's awesome.
That kind of stuff is like,
those little things are important, man.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So I hope that helps a little bit of stuff to look out for. The culty stuff.
I've talked with this man in question here before, and
you shouldn't assume his gender, but yeah.
You know, you're right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Especially with him. Or I did it too.
How dare you?
Them.
You freaking, you know, what if he's non-binary? You can do that.
That's true.
So Yeah, and I think that really resonates with him, kind of that community aspect, the family aspect for him.
Yeah.
The camaraderie and stuff. I think that everything else would be that would be the big deal breaker for him after talking to him. So, but those are good advice in general, I think, for anyone.
Yeah, and I would say like also like it's basically changing over to a little bit of the new guard. If there's a gym that like talks. I don't like to hear gyms talk shit about other gyms.
Ooh, no.
Like, there's gyms that I don't have super keen feelings on, but I typically won't talk trash about them.
No, you keep it to yourself.
That's just, they're not really my vibe. Like, I'll just keep it
that's
vague.
That's a good way of saying it.
Simple as that.
Sure.
I think that can be kind of a telling one. And then also if they abide by the old rules of like, no cross training.
That whole creanche thing.
Yeah. That's a red flag. If they are like adamantly against, let's say, purple belts doing knee bars.
So
like kind of these old kind of things. I mean, I'm not saying that's a deal breaker. We have a very good black belt in our gym that if you're a purple belt and you do a knee bar to him, he's gonna come after you like a spider monkey. And that's just because he really like did many years in Brazil training jiu-jitsu.
Well, but you also, just to be, this is a whole nother topic, and I think we talked about this before. As a black belt, if I have, a blue or purple belt that is, has their stuff together and rolls in a controlled manner, and they come to me and like, hey man, I'd like to do some, if I get a chance, knee bars and toe holds.
Can we play your rules or mine?
I would like, absolutely, right? But what we don't want is someone out of nowhere that you don't expect it.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
Because when I roll with a brown and black belt, I know I'm on guard for it. But, that's how people get hurt.
For sure. And I think it is appropriate to, if you're a blue belt and you, like maybe you came from a gym that already plays leg stuff or you're just have an interest, ask that upper belt that you're like, hey, can we do your rules? With knee bars and toe holds and stuff.
Yeah, totally.
And maybe there's nursing a knee injury and they're like, bro, please, not today. Or not right now. Or they're going to say, good to know. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Absolutely. And I'm all for it because I think you should learn this stuff
if
before you
like
hit brown belt.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's when there's this obvious trash talk about it that I think can be a little bit of a telltale sign of some things.
Well, and you could use that as an example for many topics where someone is very far on one side without nuance. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So in general. Yeah. Cool. That's a good discussion.
Yeah. Good luck in your searches. So another question came in. If you someone signed up for a tournament and they cannot make it into jiu-jitsu too often, including they have small windows that they can. So
let's say they're in college or something. Okay, fair enough.
Or they have like an hour that they can train, right? Once, twice a week. They still want to compete, so they're committing to it.
But they're at least once, twice a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
In your opinion, is it better for the lead up? Let's say they're a month out. For the lead up to train at if their gym is cool with it, at the start of the normal class. So you're training essentially for the normal class and that's it. Or let's say you come late to the class, to the back half, and either you're just going to train the back half of the class and then into sparring rounds or just to the open mat time.
Interesting.
So you'd only be showing up for open mat, or you come towards the back half of the class into open mat, or just come for the class.
But let me just reiterate. This person has very limited time. They can make it.
Yep.
They have to make a decision either or. It's not like they can do both because of their time constraints.
Yep.
And it's only when we're leading up to a tournament.
Yep. Just specifically, they signed up for a tournament. They want to do it, but they want to maximize their effectiveness during training.
So that is a good opportunity. Talk to your instructor ahead of time. Let them know what you're doing. So they're not like, what's this guy doing? say, hey, look, because what they're going to want to do is sharpen their A game. It's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
We're not going to try to do new skill acquisition at that time. So I think that in that specific circumstance, I have no problem with them, kind of coming, they're probably at the tail end of class or something.
You think
warming up?
You think doing the tail end of class into open mat would be better than open mat?
Especially if they've identified, let's say they got a couple upper belts or, someone more skillful with them, like, hey man, this is what I'd like to do. Would you be willing to work with me when I come in? There's a plan to this, not just showing up, oh, let's roll,
Sure.
Where we're very intentional about this. I think that's absolutely acceptable.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I lean towards the back half of class into open mat or open mat because basically the same reason where you need to sharpen your A game. You need to, and if you come during, let's say, the back half, you'll probably get some situationals in, probably in a form of, that's your warm up.
You gotta be careful though.
Yeah.
Because you can hurt yourself coming right in situationals cold,
Yeah. And you need to pick the right people you're going with.
Yeah.
So, and be smart about it. Like, don't fight for your life. If you're getting passed, like, allow the pass. Like, this is your warm up, and think about it that way. And then when it gets to open mat, I would say do your rounds, practicing being intentional with them, as in, like, you're going to if you play collar sleeve, you're getting into collar sleeve every single time,
right?
Multiple times.
You're trying to impose your game. Yep.
Now, I think leave some time. This is why you might have to just do the open mat period. Leave some time to drill. And what I mean is, if there is something that during your sparring rounds that you're noticing is clunky, that you're struggling with, give yourself a little bit of time that you can pull that upper belt or the guy that, like, helps you, your coach, whatever, that to work on, hey man, I cannot elevate his foot to get underneath him to X guard.
You're troubleshooting a couple things.
To sharpen that knife.
I think that's a great...
Leave some time for that.
And I would also make sure you don't neglect the stand-up. That's a time where you can kind of pull someone to the side, get some little space there and say... Towards
the end of...
What's your go-to? What are you going to,
Yes.
So...
For example, like, we just started our tournament prep in the day class. And because we have... maybe 5 or 6 day classers that are going to be competing, couple in their first tournament. And something that our warm up is grip fighting typically. So from the standing position, being first on establishing your grip and then getting into whatever, if you're going to do a guard pull, whatever that is, let's identify it. If you're going to do a throw, a wrestle kind of technique. So first we warm up grip fighting. Second, we warm up grip fighting into our technique of getting it to the mat, whether that's pull, wrestle, judo. And then we work into whatever the curriculum is for that time. Now, typically when we're leading up to a tournament, I really dumb it down. I get our escapes going and then pinning positions typically. Not really working on submission techniques, like maybe the finishing technique, but not necessarily like entries.
A lot of positional stuff.
Sure. Because I want their defense to be good, so they have confidence.
Absolutely.
That if they run in, they can be more offensive because they're not scared of the defensive positions.
Oh God, I love it. I love that.
So, going off of what you said, that stand-up portion, even from an entry standpoint, don't neglect that.
Yeah, you can't.
If you're a guard puller, you try to get, maybe it's 5 minutes of just pulling into your guard, where you top off the end of the night with just 5 minutes, as many times as you can. Pull guard, stand up, separate as if you're at a tournament, because there's that 5 steps that you got to take to engage. And that can be like, okay, what am I doing?
Totally. Reestablishing grips, the whole 9 yards.
Visualize.
I love it.
A lot. Visualize doing your techniques successfully. Visualize winning. Visualize different opponents. They look mean. They feel strong. Doesn't matter.
Nope.
Yeah.
I like what Pedro Sauer used to say. He probably still does.
What was that?
He's like, look, man, this is just body mechanics. He goes, this person, I don't care if they're a black belt, whatever. Because a stick with 2 sticks out the top, 2 sticks out the bottom, and a head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As opposed to like, look, oh man, this guy looks like he's a freaking beast.
Which is what I do.
We all do. Get in your head. It gets in your head, right? Say, look, it's just a.
You ever seen that meme of the dudes? They're mimicking a UFC, like, you know, the pre-talk stuff. It's the Key and Peele.
Oh,
and one of them's talking about like he's a Brazilian guy praying, and like
hilarious,
my God told me to rip his face off,
Yeah,
and he's
yeah.
like, what do you say?
yeah. It's hilarious. What?
Yeah.
I love this guy. That's classic, man. Yeah.
No, I think we both agree that it's either back half into open mat or open mat. But talk to your coach.
Definitely.
Let him know that this
is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
I think and then people get behind you too. They know you're in here to maximize your training time, right?
Yeah. And people should know, like, that's a huge thing. When your partners are competing, they need you. They need you to, like, be there for them. So that's what makes the competition so fun. Is like you'll have more nerves. The amount of nerves I had for Olivia competing and some of the other students at the last tournament is like more than I have with my own.
Of course.
You know,
well, when you're in a coaching position too, you know, that absolutely is the case, because a good coach is, to some degree, none of us are totally selfless, but there's more of that. It's not so much about me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. So I think that's important. I mean, we're, like you said, we're leading up to a smaller tournament, but still an important one.
Yeah.
As far as experience. So
absolutely.
So it's good. Yeah. I like that. It's good stuff, man.
Livy, you had a question or a topic of discussion.
I do.
What is that?
Okay. Should IBJJF have pro divisions for colored adult belts and master black belt?
Pro divisions. What means?
So having like normal adult, like colored belts, like blue, purple, brown, having your like adult and then your pro level. So it's divided.
So they're getting, by definition, getting paid pro?
I would think. I would think that would be a way, incentivizing doing it.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things Olivia and I started talking about this was some of the examples, and this is at the adult level. We're saying not master. There's something else we were thinking for master. So Helena Craver, you heard
Oh yeah,
her, right?
yeah.
She's just a good example.
Yeah.
Because she's a blue belt. She is under Danaher now.
Oh yeah.
And she pretty much completely destroys every blue belt tournament she goes into.
Well, of course. I mean, you look at her; she's up against upper belts and kicking butt.
And then in
Nogi.
Nogi, like ADCC,
Yeah.
she's in what's called they don't do belts; they do advanced and expert and yada yada.
Right.
Where she's beating black belts.
That's right.
But then in IBJJF, she has to go in just the average blue belt adult or juvenile maybe. I think it's up to her. She can join adult if she wants, which I think she does. But the point is, we saw this, I think, with the Rotolos.
I was going to say any of the AOJ.
Yeah, a lot of the AOJs. And even Checkmat, Dream Art, like these pro teams that have these youngins that are starting to train, you know, when they're 7, 8, 9 years old. By the time they're 16-year-olds, they have black belt level technique. They have more competition time than most black belts, even at that point.
So as against a adult blue belt has 2 years in.
Right. Our 40-year-old Latino. Imagine that guy going against
I thought you said Latinx.
Oh, I did. I didn't, and I should have.
Okay.
I absolutely should have, and I apologize to my Latinx family out there.
Okay.
Like Christian. So the thought is you have your adult blue belt, adult purple, adult brown. Okay. If you let's say you win a major at one of those, you then do the pro division. Now the pro division would be, let's say, blue belt adult pro, and the pro division would have money, let's say, for the prizes, but you can either voluntarily join it or you get bumped up to it because you won so many like opens or a major or something. Like if you're just destroying every open that you go to, you know what? You can't go against the accountant that happens to be 28 years old anymore that started jiu-jitsu 2 years ago.
Right.
You are now getting bumped up into the pro division.
It sounds like a good idea, but logistically, how would you have a separate tournament? Would this be within, let's say, an open?
I think it'd be within the same tournaments.
I think the biggest problem for the opens, not so much for pans or worlds, because I think you could just get a ton in the bracket, would be filling the brackets.
True. And maybe the opens, maybe there isn't a pro division in the opens, but if you win a certain amount of opens at the major, you can't do the normal. Like, okay, you won 4 opens. Well, you're going to be in the pro division at Pans, American Nationals.
You'd have to have there'd have to be some incentivizing for that because
well, I would think
getting money.
The money
you could get
side.
Sponsorships and stuff like that.
But then I think it also creates a little bit more of an even playing field at those majors.
Yeah.
For example, let's say we take it into the Masters divisions.
I see. Yeah.
So I wouldn't say do this at Masters colored belts, only black belt, because let's say you go to Masters.
I'm a perfect example.
You are a perfect
Let's just
example.
use me as Masters 5.
So you're a Master 5.
Been a black belt for not even a year.
Right. And that starts at 50 years old?
Yeah, 50.
I think
yeah.
Is when a Master 5 starts?
I have to look. It's a little wonky. It's not right at 50.
Right. It's right in there.
Yeah, right in there.
And I would say we're both good examples.
Yeah.
Master 3 is what I am. So the average competitor, a Master 5 black, is going to be 4th to 6th degree black belts.
That's right.
Which, so people know, a 4th degree means you've been a black belt for about 18 years.
Yeah.
Roughly.
Right.
Been a black belt for 18 years.
Yeah.
Not training. A black belt.
Is it 18?
It's something like that.
Because Andrew is
14.
14. Yeah.
Okay, 14. Sorry.
Yeah, I always use Andrew as an example, trying to.
Yeah. And I always forget how. Yeah.
It's like 3, 6, 9, and then 5 years after.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So 14 years.
Yeah.
As a black belt.
Right.
Take away the 10 years it took him to get there.
Right.
If not more or whatever. But is going against the first year black belt.
Who happens to be 54
Just
years
happen
old.
to start later in life.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And then same with myself at Master 3. I look at the podium because I watch very closely. Master 3 black, it's the same 3 or 4 guys for the last couple of years. And these guys, especially at Master 3, because now you're talking about 40-year-olds, right? Some of these guys compete still in the adult worlds. Josh Hinger, Pimentel, Casino.
Yeah.
The Meow brothers, they're not Master 3, but they're doing Master Worlds and stuff like that.
Right.
So my thought is Masters, let's say Master Worlds has a pro division. So did you win the year before? Or maybe the top 3 or something or whatever. Let's say you won the year before. Well, now this year you got to do Master Worlds in the pro division. And that's where if you won a certain adult black belt tournaments or if you won other masters, like you won Euros Euro Master 3 black. Well, when Master Worlds comes, you're doing the pro division.
Yeah, I got you.
And I would say probably just for size wise, you do the whole podium would have to do the pro division. And then let's say I want to challenge myself because there's more value in the pro division.
But you just want to enter it.
I just want to enter it.
Sure.
I want to feel what those guys feel like.
Yeah.
So I'm going to join the pro, right?
Gotcha.
I feel like this would help a little bit to split things up because for example, Master 3 Black, it was, I think, like 70 competitors. So there's a lot of competitors. Even Master 5 Black.
I know.
Dave Stegman was in that division. I think there was 36 or 40 or something like that. So I think there's plenty of people. If Salo Habero is in your division, which I think he is, right?
Yeah, he was at least at time middleweight in
could be.
Masters 5. Yeah,
If he wanted to be,
dude.
if he saw Dr. Chris Hardy on the list,
that would be oh god, that
Right.
just gives me a nightmare. Just
Yeah.
thinking about, but to your point, right?
let's say Lovato, any of these kind of like people that have been pros and then actually haven't even been out of the scene, or maybe they're still in the scene. The Meows still compete. Lovato still competes. Hinger still competes. You know, what do you think about that?
So yeah, and there'd be even more of a. I think what would be cool about that is be even more prestigious, because you can be like,
so.
I won Master Worlds amateurs, because that's what it would be. If
Right.
you're not pro, you're in the amateur division, right?
Yeah.
Or I won Master World Pro. You know what I mean? And that would be the echelon up, because everyone still likes it. I mean, that's what makes jiu-jitsu cool. You know, putting yourself out there against people.
Yeah.
And for me, as a 54-year-old black belt, it's been a black belt a year. You know, just the experience, just the whole 9 yards is stacked.
Yeah.
Against me, but I still might want to compete at where I can get a large bracket.
Yeah.
You know, so I think in those situations that it has some merit.
Yeah, the pro division would obviously have a smaller bracket, but I don't think there's anything wrong with having a 10-man pro division and then a 40-person or a 30-person amateur.
I think it'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea.
Especially when I see the podiums are
The same people.
damn near the same every single year.
Yeah. You're like, do you want to give like people who are hobbyist practitioners, you know, like enthusiasts, whatever you want to call it, a chance to be able to podium, have a realistic opportunity. And I think it's going to get worse and worse as time goes on, because all of those kids that started training young that are now going into adult, now they're going into masters. So anyone who starts in their 30s or late 20s, like they're going to have to be going against pro people who've been training since they were 7 years old. Like that's just, I don't know.
It'd be nice to have that, I think.
Now,
That'd be
is
cool.
this just a ploy so I don't have to go against that Peter Frank guy?
Maybe.
No,
but
Or
you're
Josh
not
Hinger.
you're not taking that option away.
Right.
You're saying that I can still register
Yeah.
for that. To put, you know,
I just want a chance to win.
and I think that's the thing. It's just like a little bit more opportunity for like the layman,
Yeah.
you know,
The balding.
God, dude.
BJJ
I hear ya.
practitioners who work full time and
Yeah.
don't have all the time in the world to go and train.
Keep going.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's a pretty cool idea.
Who do we talk to?
You know, usually it would also, when you have a pro division, you know, I don't know, you know, I think for the general lay person watching it, it might like, a little excitement to it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, IBJJF, you'll get probably more money.
Yeah.
Be able to suck more money out
That's
of
what
us.
I mean. So, well, that not only that, but the, maybe more.
They'll hear that part and they'll be like, okay, let's do it.
Sponsorship opportunities,
Yeah.
things like that.
For sure.
Because as a, you know, if you have a pro type of division, right? I think it'd be cool.
I'd be interested to hear what people think.
Yeah, I would too.
Do people think we're just being wussies and old people and just angry at the world? Or
Well, I'm definitely that.
yeah. Well, there's no doubt.
I mean, I don't think there's any argument about that. I
Yeah.
just think I would like to hear people's opinion on it in general, though.
If this is just us being weenies, or if maybe there's some legs to that.
I think there is.
I think so. You got anything else to add, Liv? No. Well, with that, how about people send in some questions, grapplingwithpodcast@gmail.com. Give us a follow, give us a subscribe, like.
And I will have a standalone video talking about a common injury here coming up soon, whenever we decide to post it.
Yeah, we're going to put that up. It's going to have a ton of good information on this very common injury that we've gotten a million questions about. Chris sees it all the time. So pay attention for that. It's going to be video only, so we'll probably put out something on audio that just says, hey, check out the YouTube page.
Yeah, it's not going to translate well to audio.
Right.
Cool.
With that, we'll see you later.
Later.